these are artists who are people. Like artists are still people, and you need to treat them as such, and they will
Mhm.
deliver as long as you give them. Like that's the thing is, if Karen was Ivy's understudy, why is
Mhm.
that not made clear? Like, why not just make her the understudy and have a clear differentiation of what their roles are?
Mhm.
But he's still playing this cat and mouse game that she could like take Ivy's spot. Want to listen to this episode ad free? Head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room, and get a free trial for the ITBR professor level. And you can actually watch this episode as a video episode as well. While you're at it, did you know that on Spotify, we now have a subscription service for $10 a month? You get access to all of our ad-free episodes plus any bonus episodes. So make sure that you rate, review, and follow the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Ivory Tower Boiler Room. And follow Mary DePippi's show, True Crime in Academia, at True Crime in Academia. Thank you all for your support. And without further ado, here's today's episode. Welcome back from intermission. The curtain is open again with the Smash Rewatch show. I wanted to just update you all who are dedicated listeners, new listeners even of the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. I'm really excited for our July book club, which is happening on July 21st at 6 p.m. We are reading the Book of Gothel. So if you're a fairy tale lover, you love novels that retell fairy tales, the Book of Gothel is for you. It's by Mary McMinn. Mary McMinn, I had the pleasure of interviewing on the podcast. So that interview is going to come out right before the book club discussion. So July 21st, 6 p.m., a retelling of Rapunzel from the witch's point of view. So you get to learn all of the backstory behind the witch and how she even ended up being an adopted mother of sorts to Rapunzel. So go to ivorytowerboilerroom.com and sign up for the book club. And then if you're a Broadway musical fan, and I know a lot of you who listen to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room, you're Broadway musical fans. I'm going to take a group to see The Great Gatsby on Broadway. So we are doing it in October. I was going to do it in July, but if you know anything about New York City in July, it is sweltering hot. You can see the steam rising from the sidewalks. Not the best time to be frolicking around the city. So while everyone's at the shore or just next to an conditioning unit, I decided I'll wait for the Great Gatsby until October. So again, go to ivorytowerboilerroom.com, scroll down to events, and I'm asking whether you want to see The Great Gatsby on October 5th or October 12th. Both of them are Saturday matinees, and I can't wait to bring a group of you to see The Great Gatsby. Okay, well, I'm back with a new episode of Smash hosted by Christian Garcia. There's a lot going on in the Smash universe right now. If you don't know, Smash is the NBC TV show that they're putting on a Broadway musical of Marilyn Monroe. Catherine McPhee was in it, Megan Hilty, Angelica Houston, Deborah Messing, Christian Borle. It's a who's who, basically, in the entertainment industry. And Smash is actually coming to Broadway as a Broadway musical next year in 2025. I'm not quite sure when Smash is, what month it's going to premiere on Broadway, but I'm heard speculations that it's going to happen in the spring of 2025. So follow Smash B-Way on Instagram and you'll see they're starting to release clips of the rehearsals. So Robin Herder, it looks like, is playing Ivy. They haven't confirmed it, but I think that's what's happening. I still think that an unknown actress is going to play Karen. And I'm really excited to see what they do with Act One and Act Two. So I get into some of that speculation with Christian on the podcast.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Ivory Tower Boiler Room Rewatches. Today we are discussing episode 6 for Smash Chemistry. Today we have Dr. Andrew Rimby with us today discussing this episode. Andrew, you have some Smash Broadway related topics that you'd want to pull up. Did you want to discuss that?
Sure. So if you all out there didn't know, on Instagram, Smash on Broadway has an Instagram account now. So at Smash Broadway, which I now just followed from my Ivory Tower Boiler Room account, they had this post on February 22nd um, that says the producers haven't approved this yet, but who cares? What else do you want to see? And it shows an image in black and white of Robin Herder, who's playing Ivy, doing one of the musical numbers. So that's exciting. They had like a video about Let Me Be Your Star, and Ivy crosses out Karen's name. So they're being nice and playful with this like cat fight between Karen and Ivy. So yeah, there is the Smash news. Sadly, there's been Broadway closures. Spamalot is closing April 7th. Um, and I feel like Broadway right now is facing a financial panic. So I feel like Smash is unfolding on the Times Square stage as you'd have it, where a lot of these newer musicals are just not able to sustain numbers. So, like, I don't really know of any new musical, unless you do, Christian, within the last year that's actually stayed longer than 6 months.
Hmm, that's a question. I honestly have no idea, other than Wicked and back when Phantom was a thing. Lion King still's running.
Well, I mean, musicals
In
that
the
have opened
last,
in the last
yeah.
year.
No,
Because
I
I
haven't.
think even Moulin Rouge was before the pandemic, if I remember.
It was, yes.
Yeah, maybe and Juliet.
And Juliet, that was definitely during the pandemic. Yes, that was definitely during the pandemic, but that is still going.
That's still
Hopefully.
going.
Yeah.
But yeah, like any new openings, they just are,
Like
it's
Bad
hard.
Cinderella, that one was closed recently. We had
How about Pearly Victorious?
oh yes.
Yeah. I think, is that closed?
I think so. I also heard that there was an update for Mary Poppins, but I'm not sure if that's either coming to the UK or if it's coming to Broadway. So
Mm.
I just saw that announcement yesterday. But they're announcing something today, which I need to look that up.
Yeah. Well, I
Like,
mean, there's exciting new openings. There's The
yeah,
Outsiders
but I
musical.
just wish there
There's,
were shows that actually were still sustaining since the pandemic because I'm not sure what audiences are looking for nowadays.
yeah. Well, I think they're looking for um affordable tickets,
Yes. Hmm.
which I think is the issue. Um, and I understand that these theaters need to make money, but I just think the government, New York City has to step in and give a grant or like
Hmm.
at least some backing to these Broadway theaters
Because
because
they can't expect the audience to pay everything for them. Like I
yeah,
remember, if you
that's
remember
true.
when Funny Girl was still playing, they charged like over $400 for a ticket,
Hmm.
over
I
400
know.
$500.
Well, because I'm so excited to see The Great Gatsby. And I mean, as we're recording
Oh,
this, I love your Wicked shirt
thank
because
you.
um, I'm doing taking the group to see Wicked.
Yep.
Probably already just did it when this comes out. But on April 7th, we have our Wicked virtual book club, $4
Hmm.
a month for anyone who wants to join, ivorytowerboilerroom.com. And like what I'm so excited about is hopefully there's so much energy bringing this group together that I want to do Sunset Boulevard, The Wiz, maybe The Great Gatsby. And so there's a lot of exciting musicals coming. I Sometimes I just don't understand why these Broadway theaters, I'm sure there's all these logistics, but why don't they start a subscription series on Broadway like you do in community theaters? Like why can't you do like 4 shows for the year for like $300 or
Well,
350, or like you choose a price and you can like choose 4 shows to see on Broadway.
that makes sense.
I'm sure it has to do with like the theater companies and all of these gatekeeping rules that they have,
Hmm.
which we kind of see with this episode in a way with Eileen.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah, yeah. So no, that's all the news on the Broadway front, but I think Broadway's going to have to become creative if they want to sustain any type of audience right now.
I agree. I agree entirely. But aside from Broadway, let's dive into the episode. Andrew, what did you think? Were there any points that you wanted to point out while you were watching it?
Yeah, I would say this episode, I really thought it was so interesting that Ivy really comes to this realization that Derek doesn't care at all about her mental state of mind or her
Yeah.
psyche. So I thought like that was a breakthrough. Um, and that he sees her as a commodity and just an object, very much similar to like how Marilyn would have been treated. So I thought like we were getting a lot more of her being objectified
Mhm.
by Derek, and all he cares about really was her voice being lost, not about who Ivy actually is. So that's where
Right.
I came out at this episode from that vantage point.
I agree. I mean, I also rewatching it again, I just had to tisk at Karen's greenness again, yet again. What a surprise. But it's coming to a point where it's just like she doesn't know any of these either music directors or Broadway producers, and it's just coming to a point where it's like, do your research.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think Karen, her not knowing these Broadway, um, like you said, those in the business,
Hmm.
producers or record producers, even when the ensemble tries to give her the out that she's from Iowa, that's not an excuse though for her
It's
not to
not.
understand. Like most of those who are in the ensemble or in a cast are not from the New York area. So like,
Mhm.
you know,
Like, who are
just
they
go
to
to
tell her that
yeah.
she's too green for anything when they probably don't even know who the heck anyone else is in the Broadway world since they're so shunned, not shunned, but they claim to have more experience than her.
Mm. Oh, you don't think that they are on the up and up of knowing all the different like Rolodex of people?
Oh, I'm sure, but I think that they're just trying to one up her
Oh.
again, in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that Karen has a nonchalant is very nonchalant about like all of her the process of rehearsing or the process of like actually being in this like workshop experience. So I I think that she could take this more seriously,
She's
and like
taking
that
it as if
even
it's a
yeah.
joke.
Yeah,
And
like I don't she doesn't seem committed to wanting to be in a Broadway musical or even like do a record deal or like any kind of opportunities. The bar mitzvah, like she
oh
was
my
so
God.
checked out.
You
I would have fired her. Sorry for the interruption, but this is Dr. Andrew Rimby, and I have to talk to you all about the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Yes, you might be saying, but wait, aren't I listening to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room? You are. You're listening to the podcast. But when I'm not here in the podcast space, I'm actually consulting. So I have small businesses that I help consult with their social media marketing plan. I help fellow podcasters or those who are looking to go into podcasting. And I've also just met with a client, and I can't wait for her podcast to come out. So I've also helped those in the college admission process with their essay editing. I helped
someone on her thesis and actually edited and helped consult her all the way through her thesis. I'll help you with your dissertation since I just got done my dissertation last summer. So you can reach out to me at ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com. Yes, I monitor my email every day. My first hour consultation is done virtually usually, and it's $30 for the first hour, and then we'll figure out what plan will work for you. So again, you can reach out to me via email, or you can also look me up on Google, Ivory Tower Boiler Room. You'll see my cell phone number there. Please do feel free to call me or DM me on Ivory Tower Boiler Room's Instagram. You've heard me gush over my friend Christian Garcia's podcast called That Old Gay Classic Cinema. Yes, Christian Garcia, who hosts the Smash Rewatch podcast series with me. Remember Smash, where they're putting on a Marilyn Monroe Broadway musical called Bombshell? Well, make sure you listen to our podcast series. His podcast is called That Old Gay Classic Cinema, and it is definitely meant for all of those Turner Classic movie lovers. So he looks at classic films with a queer lens. So think of him as a queer cinema professor of sorts. He actually had on co-owner of the Soapbox NY, Janine Cucci, to talk about Sunset Boulevard, which the three of us are just obsessed with Sunset Boulevard, and we can't wait for Nicole Scherzinger to be in the revival of Sunset Boulevard on Broadway. He also has episodes about Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Strangers on a Train. Now that definitely is a queer homoerotic film. The Philadelphia Story, Meet Me in St. Louis, Beauty and the Beast, Sweet Charity, Psycho, Mary Poppins, Hello Dolly, The Wizard of Oz, Vertigo, which I actually was on, and 101 Dalmatians, and the list can go on and on and on. So make sure that you listen to That Old Gay Classic Cinema wherever you get podcasts, like Spotify or Apple. Follow Christian on Instagram at That Old Gay Classic Cinema, and he also has a TikTok. And please make sure that you reach out to him and let him know that you heard this ad on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Happy podcast listening.
I was going to I was going to mention that because when she first hears of this gig that Ivy can't do because her voice is bad, well, actually, it was first given to an ensemble, and then Ivy got it, and then Ivy's like, "No, I can't do it," and then it went to Karen. It's like Karen just took it as like she wasn't sure what the heck it was because she's never been to a bar mitzvah before,
Mm-hmm.
and she basically just took it as if it was just another job. Which, in all fairness, it is, but at the same time, she has to be professional, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm late because there were no cabs. I thought there would be cabs around, but no."
Well, see, that's the thing is I enjoy a spontaneous person. Like I think that there's
Jesus, fuck.
um Derek really likes Karen's greenness, but like he sees it as a breath of like fresh air of rawness and raw talent, which he thinks Marilyn possessed. So like I can understand how he's viewing her. I just think when it comes to industrial experience, you don't have to have a huge resume, but you have to at least act the part of no job is too small when you're being paid for an opportunity.
Exactly.
And she's just not showing up as someone who cares for a lot of her opportunities. Um, so I can see why Ivy's getting annoyed with Karen.
Yeah. And also, well, yeah, we can talk about it now. That whole trippy 5-second music video where I thought we were in Glee for a second because Megan Miller just started singing and it just felt so off.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
which
then
one are
she
you
has
talking
the
about?
second life experience where she sees Marilyn, but it's Carrie, but
Yeah.
it's you know
Wait, which one? Because we get a lot of like Glee music
in
video
when
moments.
oh my goodness, it was It was before she calls Tom over to her apartment, as well as
Mhm.
Leslie Odom Jr. I forget his name.
That's okay. But yeah, we'll just call him Leslie
Um
Odom Jr.
the um yeah, she has this very trippy, like very out of
Oh,
balance
yes, yes, yes. Like
when she
she's
looks in the mirror and
hallucinating.
she's like, "Oh my God, but it wasn't
Yeah.
me. It was Marilyn, but it was Karen." And she was telling me that I wasn't good enough. And
Yes, yeah, she's hallucinating.
yes.
But I also feel like this is at the end of the episode, but when they say when Ivy says Marilyn would have fired, like Marilyn would have fired someone like Karen.
Yep.
That's not true. Like I don't think
No,
Marilyn, like we got from Elizabeth Winder, Marilyn was not that Marilyn wasn't invested in trying to fire people who
no.
are women
She
around
was
her.
never that petty as
No.
Ivy is. And it's like
Yeah,
she was
Ivy
a
is
superstar and it's me and only me.
mhm. Ivy's basically our Rachel Berry in
Yes.
Smash. She's Rachel Berry. Karen is checked out. I don't know who she is in Glee. Um, maybe she's like that teacher, the female teacher who like
Oh my God, Miss
does some
Pillsbury, who
yes,
has
yes, yes.
OCD. Going
Yeah.
from someone who was an addict to Glee in his teen years.
Yeah, but I mean the whole losing the voice is a very realistic
Has that ever
um
happened to you in a production that you've ever been in?
um maybe like the stress. It is a stressor.
Hmm.
Stress caused and induced is losing your voice before a big performance. I would say maybe in like dress rehearsal, I could tell I was getting a tired voice. So then I just
Hmm.
like marked the numbers because I wasn't going to lose the voice. Um, but I think that Karen, I mean, I think Ivy would have been fine. Um, just resting her voice. I don't understand why she had to like belt out numbers before, like during rehearsal, if
Yeah.
she had already been singing it. Like,
Hmm.
that's where Derek, as a director, his job is to um, unite the cast and make them be confident of their abilities, which he's
Yep,
failing at. Like,
exactly.
you're not fostering any type of ethical
Mm,
relationship with this cast.
not at all. It's just Derek in this episode was just very what do you what's that word? Misogynistic.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah.
wasn't concerned about Karen, sorry, Ivy's feelings with how she was doing with her recovery status. And she she she's she's basically at the point of getting sick of being treated like garbage. And I don't blame
Yeah.
her, but it's, you know,
Well, he just wants to, you know, replace her with whoever can, um, fulfill the role. Like all he
mhm,
cares about is the role.
yep,
And it's like these are artists who are people. Like artists are still people, and you need to treat them as such. And they will
mhm,
deliver as long as you give them like that's the thing is if Karen was Ivy's understudy, why is
mhm,
that not made clear? Like, why not just make her the understudy and have a clear differentiation of what their roles are?
mhm.
But he's still playing this cat and mouse game that she could like take Ivy's spot. And I
He's
think
trying
that's
to
where
like play mind
yeah.
games with her. And it's
Yeah, he's
not good for her ego. It's not good for her mental state. It's not good for her emotional state.
no.
And that's one of the reasons why I believe it was causing her voice to strain out, because she was dealing with all this internal pressure and it was just
Hmm.
coming, it was just hitting her like a train. And it wasn't, it wasn't good for her.
Oh, exactly. And it's not good for anyone on the team. I
Mhm.
mean, it doesn't help Julia deliver um
Hmm.
her part. Eileen to feel confident that they're going to be okay with the investors. Um, But yeah, so I also feel like there's a lot of this is a whole case study, Smash, of what not to do ever in the Broadway sphere. Like how hopefully Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman and anyone involved with the Smash Broadway musical, hopefully they're not subjecting their artists to any of what happens in Smash. Like
Oh, I
this
hope
is
not.
a
I
life
don't believe they
lesson.
would. You
No,
know?
I feel like this is where Smash is a soap opera. Like this is in a good way, like what causes the dramatic tension is everything that can go wrong. Like the toxicity. Like there's toxicity constantly being pumped out in every episode.
And the affairs. Shall we talk about Julia and her affair with Michael Swift? Oh boy,
Oh yeah.
that's a big thing.
Yeah. No, I know. I think you have to.
You have to. I'm not sure if it's ever happened to you, if you've ever witnessed something like this on like as a backstage level or even as a workspace level, but it can really mess up with your internal feelings. And the fact that Julia and Michael were cheating, and it's yes, they had a fling a few years ago, according to them, but it was, they're picking it back up again, and it's bringing back all these feelings at the wrong time, because this
Mm,
can't happen right now, because they're about to do a workshop, they're doing all of this stuff, and it's the fact that they're just uh plummeting this
hmm
relationship into the whole mix is just it's a double-sided coin.
hmm No, absolutely. And I think that um like not only are they participating in cheating since both of them are
Mhm.
married and have children,
Mhm. Both of
um
them. Yep.
I also think that subjecting like Julia having her son there, like
Oh,
and that
yes.
whole dynamic is like when he is witnessing his mother having an affair.
Mhm.
Like
Because
that's
he
just
witnessed
another
it, he saw
level.
it outside, and then
Hmm
I just can't imagine the amount of turmoil that he must be feeling inside of him at this point.
Yeah. I'm surprised that he didn't tell his father.
Oh.
You like you mean to say that you would keep that a secret? I wouldn't keep that a secret. I would be like, shouting it from the rooftops
I,
because
I'd be dropping hinted clues at the dinner table.
yeah, I mean,
Mom, how was that dinner with Michael Swift? What did you guys do? Because I went to bed early, but what did you guys do after I went to bed?
I know. I mean, this is where Broadway, I think, is such an interesting place because, and I've always said it reminds me of universities because it's a bubble of people who know the speak and the language of the industry
Hmm.
and the jargon. And in their sphere, like academics, Broadway performers, and just any performer, that's what consumes you in your like 24/7 is this
Hmm.
world. But to the outside world, you know, they're consumed by their own jobs, but like a lot of jobs, they can shut off the like mind, right? Like there's the 9 to 5 schedule. In Broadway and in a university, you don't have the shutting off of the boundaries. Are you looking for a new magazine to read where you can get so many book, film, and TV recommendations? Well, then you need to check out the Gay and Lesbian Review. The G and LR is a bi-monthly magazine of history, culture, and politics that publishes essays in a wide range of disciplines, as well as a slew of reviews of books, plays, and movies, and a number of special features. Each issue brings you consistently intelligent, lively, thought-provoking articles focused on a unifying theme. So, for example, their new issue for May and June is called The Celluloid Fishbowl. And it's a nod to Vito Russo's 1981 book called The Celluloid Closet, which documented the flashes of LGBT content in movies before Stonewall when such content was strictly forbidden. So there's so many exciting articles in the May and June issue, including one by Andrew White called Queer Ghosts on Oscar Night that covers so many different LGBTQ films, both when the characters come out of the closet and what happens when characters are already openly queer and they don't need to come out of the closet, like we're seeing with so much of TV and film and literature right now. There's also an article by Andrew Holleran, the acclaimed writer of Dancer from the Dance, who actually reviews All of Us Strangers, which I can't wait to watch and has been much talked about. So please make sure that you use the Ivory Tower Boiler Room code ITBR50 when you go on glreview.org. You'll see on the right side it says subscribe. You can either subscribe for their digital edition, or if you're like me, I like to still get the magazine delivered as a print magazine. There's nothing just like having a print magazine in front of you. So use ITBR50 to get 50% off of your G&LR subscription. Yes, that's 50% off. So enjoy your reading. And please, if you are subscribing to the Gay and Lesbian Review, and if there's an article you really enjoyed, or a review you really liked, or a guest that you really want me to interview from the Gay and Lesbian Review, make sure that you DM me at Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Happy reading, everyone. And thank you to the Gay and Lesbian Review for their sponsorship. Hi, this is Dr. Andrew Rimby, and I'm really excited to talk to you all about one of our ITBR sponsors, Broadview Press. Broadview Press is an independent academic publisher in the humanities that produces high-quality, pedagogically useful books for use in university and college classrooms. They publish mainly in English studies, writing, philosophy, and history. They are always publishing with an eye towards diversity, building a strong list of titles from women, people of color, and authors from other marginalized groups. If you haven't heard my Broadview Press interviews, you need to. Recently, I just had on Dr. Shannon Day, who talked about her book, Beyond the Binary, Thinking About Sex and Gender. And in the summer, I had on Dr. Jason Holt, who gave us all a comprehensive history of what it means to be a philosopher who studies sporting culture. And of course, we went back to ancient Greek literature, mythology, history to look at the roots of athleticism. And last year, I had on Dr. Jeffrey Andrew Weinstock, who's actually going to be coming on the podcast soon to give his thoughts on the new Fall of the House of Usher Netflix series. He talked all about pop culture for beginners. And Broadview Press is offering an exclusive discount because of our sponsorship. So head to broadviewpress.com, where you're going to see such a wide range of literature. Use the code Ivory Tower, IVORYTOWER, for 20% off site-wide all of their books. Again, it's broadviewpress.com. Enjoy your reading. So I think that causes a lot of gossip and speculation, and you have to be very careful, like knowing what your workplace is as a dynamic and what your personal life is. And yeah,
Oh,
I
yes.
mean, I think because I stopped professionally performing right after high school, I never witnessed like these kinds of adult affairs to this level. But like definitely at the university, I knew of like um speculation about faculty who were sleeping with students, or grad students who were with other grad students, and then they had a messy
Mhm.
breakup. And like that's why I always vowed, and I did keep my vow of chastity. No, not chastity, but I kept my vow of like never having any type of relationship with someone at the university.
Right.
And it was one of the best things I've ever decided to do because just so messy. It's again, like I enjoy being with someone who's like-minded, but I don't want to be with someone who's a carbon copy of myself. And especially at the same workplace.
That
No.
always say when I'm dating. It's like I don't want to date another version of myself.
Yeah, like you want someone who has similar characteristics, but you don't want an exact replica. Like,
Exactly. Because then what would that what would that achieve?
yeah, I mean, then you should just be single and enjoy being single and being with yourself. I mean, I don't know. It's Julia, I like her creative art and her mind, but I
Mhm.
feel like Julia is I try to think like who is the more I don't want to say creative, but who is someone in this team because she's part of a team. Is
Yep.
someone giving more Tom or Julia in this relationship, like their own relationship,
Mhm.
you know? Because I do think Tom
I
is
have to
more
say Tom.
focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Julia's just all over the place. And the fact that she has Michael badgering her in this episode, wondering, we have to talk, we have to do this, we have to do that. And then towards the end, we see them in their affair, and it's like it's consuming her. And I think
Mhm.
that's the main reason why she's so unfocused. And she confesses to Tom later on that they did have that they did kiss and they did do all this stuff, and he tries to veer her back to the right path, but it's you know
Mhm. Yeah.
crazy
I
things
mean,
people do when they're in love or affair love.
mhm. Yeah. Well, I feel like um it's just the sleeping in the studio. Like even
Oh
not
God.
only are they having an
Yes.
affair, but they're having an affair in the rehearsal space.
Yeah,
Like
no,
why? They can't even rent like a cheap,
they can't go to a
inn.
hotel
They can't even go to Secaucus and get a motel.
or the Hilton even. I don't know, somewhere.
Somewhere away from the studio.
Or
Yeah.
even the freaking plaza somewhere where it's not.
I don't think they have
Oh,
money for the plaza.
well,
Um,
just as somebody.
I mean, Eileen doesn't even have money for the plaza
Oh my
eventually in these
God.
episodes. But Eileen, like, I have to say, I'm really enjoying. I forgot how much I enjoyed Angelica Houston's acting. She's just so
Oh,
good. She's so
isn't she
good.
just? Oh my God. Angelica Houston, she can just, oh goodness.
She
She's
can
one of my favorite actors.
deliver any character, like, but
Yep.
especially when she gives the sassy, like, witches type performance. Like, anything
Oh,
that's just, you know, her looking down on people is
yep.
the best.
It's like Grand High Witch slash British
Mhm.
Adam slash, oh my God, what role she's playing
She's,
now in this show.
I, I know she's so good. Um,
Amazing.
but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else in the episode. I mean, the piano interlude, like I really enjoyed when Tom was playing History is Made at Night and he's so excited and focused. And Julia's
Mhm.
like, I can't, she's like,
I
I can't
can't
focus on this right
concentrate
now.
because I did a bad thing. I made a big boo-boo.
And I'm like, you know, you're getting paid and your income source is coming for your creative work. Like, can you try to handle like why are you not being honest about your relationship collapsing? Like
Mhm.
she just needs to be honest with her husband and that is something we don't really get a lot of conversations between her and her husband.
No.
Like,
You don't, and he comes back early from his
mhm,
trip,
yeah.
and you could see the aftermath of her, like you saw that she was burning the freaking pancakes, and she was just reminiscing, not reminiscing, but just calculating what it is that what it is that she did and wondering how to get out of this mess.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, like I do think Karen and Ivy's relationship is Karen. I would say Karen is trying to befriend Ivy, but I don't even believe that. I think Karen is also um sabotaging any type of relationship because Karen's not necessarily communicating to Ivy this opportunity that she has with this record or this
Hmm.
music producer. Like no one is working together here. Like
No.
why not try to have Ivy also, sit in front of this record
Hmm.
producer? Um I think the show really does a good job at showing the downfalls of people who are only in it for themselves. And,
Yeah.
I think that I just like believe now in our culture, you can't create your best work when you're so focused solely on your own ego. I just don't think that those are the best artists. Like, I don't know, what do you think?
I completely agree. It's, I mean, I've never met a Karen before because in my high school productions, everyone was just so in the know of everything, and there was no one that was super green as she was. And I think that's one of the reasons why I quit theater was because there were so many people that were very much like Ivy's character, not to name any names. But there were
And wait, where did you go again, Christian?
Carmel High School up in Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, we did actually we did I was in a few we did Alice in Wonderland for our play for our senior play, and then we did or was that junior year? No, yeah, I like to joke with one of my best friends that I was typecast as the fish. So um and
Wait, and
then I
how
was
far
in,
is this from Manhattan?
oh, it's like an hour and change,
Oh,
like an hour and
okay.
30 minutes on the Metro North. Or
So
actually,
it's
no,
a
2 hours
commutable.
away. 2 hours away.
Oh, okay.
Um
Okay.
from the city.
But it's commutable. Like, or you can
Yes.
go to the city in the day. So, yeah, I feel like anytime you're like close to New York City growing up, like even I was only an hour and like 40 to Manhattan, but 30 minutes to Philly. I feel like you have that pressure to like rise to the occasion of being competitive for the New York City um theater community.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like sometimes I just wonder, is it less competitive outside of the Northeast? But we also, at the same time, you also have more opportunities, I feel, with actually getting auditions or like
Hmm.
making it into the professional business, or even having
Yeah.
directors who were on Broadway, like was my case.
I agree. I mean, we actually, for my, when I was, it was sophomore year that I went, I was there, I was actually when I was, first enrolled in high school, and because I moved a lot, around, and I was enrolled in Carmel High School for my sophomore year. And then I went to see Beauty and the Beast. And what I didn't realize was that they had some connections to Broadway, and they were able to get a lot of the costumes and a lot of the different sets. And the narrator was actually one of the last, actually was the father of the lead who played the Beast. His father was one of the narrators for the Broadway show, and he came and he was able to do the narration for that show. I remember correctly. And it was just that whole experience was just very eye-opening to me, and how they were able to do a freaking high school production, but with it made it look like it was on Broadway.
Hmm. Well, and like those who've been in the industry, there is um So wait, I'm trying to remember. Is it this episode or the next where Ivy outs having slept with Derek?
I believe it's this episode at the
This one.
end.
Yeah, we have to talk about that
Oh
because
my God, that
like
whole monologue.
yeah. But that would never happen actually in a rehearsal because
Probably not,
um like the
but I
director would have
appreciate the
been
attempt.
yeah, but the director would have been held accountable by the union.
Oh, yes.
And I don't even know where their union is. Is there a union? Is
I
there
don't
actors
know.
equity?
Is there a made-up union for this show? Because I don't know what union they're using for this show, but
But it sucks.
it's non-existent,
It's
apparently.
an awful union. Because first of all, Karen cannot just go back and forth from rehearsal time and
No,
run to
we
like
saw that because they were like, "Oh no, look, Karen has to go out. Is she okay to like leave for like a few hours?" Like, yeah, that's fine. Like, where? No, she
no,
can't do.
that's not acceptable. You have like very specific regimented actors equity like hours. Like you're only
Exactly.
allowed a certain amount of time for a break, for lunch. Like everything is, you know, if it's 5 o'clock and that's when you're ending rehearsal, you leave.
Mhm.
Like you're done.
Exactly.
Um, or you get overtime, which they're not gonna want to pay you. So
No,
um yeah, so like things like
God
that.
forbid.
So
God
things like that are
forbid.
like definitely made up, to enhance the drama.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, for Ivy to out all of that is um she's reached her boiling point. I
Yep.
just think it's interesting how everyone else around the table reacts to this news. Like,
Either with stun looks or just let's continue on. What's happening now?
yeah, yeah. Well, I think Eileen is actually approving of Ivy outing, like
Yes.
dragging him. She's like, "Good
Yep.
for
I
you,
do too.
sister."
I do too.
But yeah, I'm trying to I always trying to find likable characteristics with a lot of like these TV figures.
Mhm.
I just don't know what Derek's likable characteristic is. Like I would say
Oh,
maybe he's a visionary, but
oh
he's
boy.
really sinking the ship with the
Just
cast.
wait till next episode because it's a whirlwind.
Spring has sprung here on Long Island, and I'm excited to talk about the Soapbox NY, a bath and body boutique located in historic Port Jefferson Village. My good friend Janine Cucci co-owns the Soapbox NY. Not only has she been on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room podcast, but she's also been on my good friend Christian Garcia's podcast. So she gave me a special spring scent from her blending bar. You might ask, Andrew, what is the blending bar? Well, it's what makes the Soapbox NY so unique, in my opinion. They have over 200 essential oils that can be made into shower gel, bubble baths, shampoo, body lotion, an essential oil roller, or even perfume. So, the first scent that I want to highlight is called Peony Blush Suede, an exquisite floral with delicate rose and honey accents and a subtle green freshness. The second is Mimosa and Tonka with notes of sweet golden mimosa mixed with creamy Tonka bean. And the third is Spring Musk, green and fresh with notes of bergamot, orange blossom, and neroli, a clean and fresh musk. So head over to soapboxny.com to place your order. Make sure you follow the Soapbox NY on Instagram, where you also could DM Janine with any questions. And make sure you tell her that Andrew from Ivory Tower Boiler Room sent you. You've all heard me gush about Mandy Made It. Mandy Made It is a craft business, and it's actually owned by my friend Mandy Bengal, who I have known, married to Pippi has known. We all actually became best friends in Main Stage Center for the Arts summer theater camp. So I'm so proud of Mandy. First, she has an arts festival coming up on April 28th. It's called the Gloucester Township Arts Market and Green Fair. There are going to be art vendors, craft vendors, including Mandy, food trucks. It sounds so much fun. I actually am thinking maybe I'm going to attend. So it's in South Jersey.
and it's April 28th, a Sunday from 10 to 3 p.m. So go over to at Mandy Made It to find out more information about how you can attend the festival. And please, if you see Mandy, say, oh, I listened to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room, and that's how I know about your crochet company. So she makes so many wonderful items, especially because we're in the spring into summer. I know that she makes beautiful spring flowers that she crochets. She's made wonderful Pokemon inspired items. I know that my boyfriend, he's loves Pokemon Go, so this is a great item for him. I actually got my boyfriend a Mandy Made It Scream ghost face bouquet for Valentine's Day. He loved it. She makes wonderful Disney inspired items. She made me a Hocus Pocus bed and breakfast item, Snow White and the Evil Queen's poisoned apple item. I know she's made Married to Pippi so many true crime items. We're in talks right now to have her make some Ivory Tower Boiler Room crochet items. Make sure that you reach out to Mandy Made It. Let her know that you heard this ad on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. She loves knowing that you're listening to her ad on the podcast. And also, she'll give you an exclusive item at Mandy Made It on Instagram and Facebook.
It's a
Mhm.
moment.
I know, I know. Well, I don't know. Anything else we have to highlight? I mean, if not, um,
I mean,
I feel like,
other
yeah.
than Karen's cover of Shake It Up, I thought that it, or is it
Oh,
Shake It Off? Shake It Off. I'm sorry. I get those two confused. I was like, wait, is she singing a Taylor Swift song? Was Taylor was
yeah. I mean, I don't know if that was the most a moment I'll remember. Um, a lot of these, I have to say, the show is definitely, we've talked about this before, I think, Christian, but it's definitely dated when it does any of these covers of like songs that
Oh
came out.
yes.
Like, I kind of wish, I really hope Mark Shaman, maybe I'll even clip this for you, Mark Shaman. Hello. Hi, Mark. One of your biggest fans, love your musicals, which I do. Please do not include covers of any recent songs. Please don't do it in the musical. Like, we do not need Beyonce's Texas Hold'em as a cover, like, or, Houdini by Dua Lipa. Um, this is not Moulin Rouge. This is not And Juliet. It most certainly is not Once Upon a Time. Uh, so please keep it as the Marilyn Monroe bombshell musical. Like, and do us all a favor and just do new original music. Please. Your new original music is so much better than any cover can be. Let
Oh,
Beyonce sing her song, you
let
know?
Beyonce have her time in the spotlight.
Yeah. And I think maybe it was the pressure because this show came out when Glee was around. So maybe they're like, we need to compete
Yes.
with Glee.
It actually came out, I think it was 2009 that they came out. So it was still, the show was still going. So I
Yeah.
think this
So I
was
think,
like I like to say, this is the adult version of Glee.
yeah, I think they were trying to get the crossover audience from Glee.
Mhm.
So I can see that, but I do sometimes wish, like, you don't really need any of those covers.
No, we
No.
don't.
Mm-mm.
We don't.
So I'm hoping that that's a big change that's happening with the Broadway musical.
I hope so. Well, only
Just
time will tell, right? That's
yeah, and we'll be in the audience
yes.
recapping the experience.
We'll
Um,
be writing our many notes.
yes, good
We'll
notes
bring the
probably.
notebooks.
I don't want to like scare the creative team, but if you want to like consult with us here, since we're the only Smash Rewatch podcast,
Oh my
uh,
God.
please consult with us because we have opinions.
We have some opinions. We have some thoughts. What we
Like, I
jotted
really want
down.
Bombshell. Like, I really want the musical Bombshell,
Oh yes.
like, for it to be at least half of the Broadway show is Bombshell music numbers.
I want to see that realized, other than seeing it on the show, like behind the scenes, like this is how it would look in other people's eyes.
Mm.
I wanted to see it in our eyes. I don't
Oh,
want it to be like,
wait. What happens if Act 2 is actually Bombshell
Yay!
and Act 1 is Smash, the rehearsal? Hmm. That might be what's
We have
happening.
to get in contact with some people now.
I know. Robin Herder, hello. Please, can
Robin.
anyone give us any insight into this? Oh, and maybe Karen is going to sing the Maryland numbers in Act 1 and Ivy sings in Act 2.
Oh, I could
And
see that.
maybe they're singing like Karen does the rehearsal songs and then the
And then
full,
Ivy does the fully realized version.
like the full orchestra, orchestrated version.
Because if you see some of the recent videos that I've sent you personally,
Yeah.
we saw that Ivy was in, I'm not sure if that was either the character, the actress who plays either Ivy or Karen, who's in the Marilyn Monroe getup. I'm wondering if that character is just playing Marilyn or she's playing Ivy as Marilyn or Karen as Marilyn. So
Mm,
we'll see.
that's true. That's true. I mean, I have a feeling that they're gonna have Karen and Ivy in the rehearsals.
Mhm.
And then I feel like either we're going to have only Ivy as Marilyn in Act 2, or I could also see if they like do Act 2 as the out of town tryout. Like Act 2 is actually Bombshell in 2 acts. So like maybe Act 2 Bombshell, Act 1, if that makes sense, is out of town tryout with Karen. And then Act 2 Bombshell of Act 2 is Ivy on Broadway.
That does make sense. I could see that realized. I could see that. We just have to know who the right people to contact are. Because we like you
I
said
know.
before, we have some thoughts.
And I
We have
think there's definitely going to be some plot points that they're going to like get rid of. Like I don't think there's going to be a lot about Julia's family. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine a lot of that. I think it's going to be more
because they
Karen
can't
Ivy's.
cast everyone.
No, I think it's going to be Karen and Ivy's storylines, and that's the
And
focus.
Julia, Tom, Derek are all in the background. I think,
Yeah, I
well,
think
not Derek, but definitely Julia and Tom.
yeah, I think Eileen will be there, but she'll also kind of be, you
Yeah,
know, in the background.
yeah.
Wouldn't it be awesome if Bernadette Peters revives her role?
Oh my God. Imagine.
I mean, they're gonna
Imagine.
be casting some exciting people.
They are. They haven't released any
All
updates
we
of
know is Robin Herder is probably Ivy, and she
probably.
was in Moulin Rouge.
Yep.
But that's what I have a feeling. Karen and Ivy are probably, quote unquote, I'll just speculate. Karen is going to be someone really new to Broadway as an actress. And I think that they're going to try their best to really cast um like award-winning Broadway performers as like Derek, as Eileen, as the I mean Bernadette Peters could even be Eileen. I could see that.
I could
Um
really see that too. Yes.
yeah, or Patty LaPone. I
Imagine.
know. I
You
mean,
think they'd have
because
that
it is
budget?
Mark
You think they have
Shaman,
that
I think they
budget?
can get like I think if it's a limited run, I think they could get a certain cast or, yeah, I definitely could see it's going to be they're going to be swinging big with their cast. They have to.
I can't wait to see who is revealed as who's
I know.
who.
I know. And I still will be in the ensemble if they'll have me. I'll be like Karen.
We both will. I
I'll run
think
to
we both
other
will.
appointments. I'll be like, bye, Mark. Bye, Scott Whitman. See you in 3 hours. I'm just I'm a character. I'm being a method actor right now. Okay, well, I think we gave the audience more than enough, Christian.
We did. Oh my God. Well, I cannot wait to go back and cap our new episode, which is the following episode, episode 7. The workshop. Oh my God. And we have Tristan Poland coming in for a discussion. We have
Oh, yeah.
so many thoughts and notes on that
Yeah.
episode.
We
It's
have a
amazing.
director's mind. That's going to be
We have
exciting.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't a director ever, so you mean I am a director of Ivory Tower Boiler, but like I've never been a, theater director. So that'll be interesting. Thanks, Christian. This was
No
fun.
problem.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. Bye, Mark Shaven.